friends, and welcome to another episode of Your Bish Therapist Podcast. Today's episode is going to be a bite-sized bish because after watching the last episode of The Valley, I am enraged in a way that truly I have never felt before watching Bravo TV. Never in my life. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm also going to talk a little bit about Next Gen New York City, which is also really great, but has another problematic person on there that also is doing things that's making me feel rage. So I guess I'm feeling a lot of rage today, and I'm going to be sharing it with you all. So bear with me. Here's the thing that I will say for me personally. I'm going to be releasing an episode shortly to my Patreon, giving some kind of updates, and I'm having some personal health challenges. I'm grieving. I have a lot going on that is really impacting me, and I'm trying to ride the wave of what I'm experiencing right now. And it is unprecedented. I'm not sure what to do with it, but how I'm reframing it is that all transformations, changes, and things like that, it's like metamorphosizing, and it's painful and it's hard, but at the end it will be beautiful. I do know that. Trying to adjust to, it's not even like going back to a life. It's like after my safe person died, the only person in the world who loved me and was proud of me and asked how I was and all those things, I don't know who I am. So I'm just trying to figure that out. Going through a real tough, I guess, metamorphosis that's what I feel like is happening. And what's happening for me now is I just don't have tolerance to bullshit. I don't have tolerance for not being authentic or bullies or meanness or anything like that. Like I don't have any tolerance for it. So it's making a very spicy Melissa extra spicy. And if you want to hear more about that, I will be posting an episode to my Patreon about the personal things that are going on in a little bit more detail. So that is patreon.com/Your Bish Therapist, YOURBISH therapist. Also, if you are enjoying the podcast, please, if you would be so kind, give it a 5-star review, like, rate, subscribe, whatever you can do that's free to help a sister out. I really appreciate that. I'm very grateful for this community. I tell you that all the time, but I really mean it. I'm just really proud of everyone here. And this is where I'll transition to The Valley. So the last episode of The Valley was so horrifying to me. And then, I look in the Bravo TV comment sections and I just think, what is happening? But what I appreciate is that in my corner of the world, I have people who are thoughtful, who are empathetic, who are caring, who would never do things like the average Bravo fan is doing in terms of questioning Janet's experiences. So I'm just going to go ahead and share what happened. So the most recent episode of The Valley, there was a lot that happened, right? And there was some really good things that happened. Jasmine and Melissa had their engagement party, and, Brittany threw the party. It was so beautiful. It was so well done. They were so happy. And the one thing I really appreciated is seeing Bravo tell their love story, right? Because Jasmine is a woman of color in an interracial relationship, and she's gay. And so we don't see a lot of queer love stories on TV. We don't. And so I was really happy to see them give Jasmine and Melissa the time and the attention that they deserved. Because the one thing that I loved at the engagement party is that everyone was kind of like, when we go to weddings and people get married, we're just like, this is not going to last. But with Jasmine and Melissa, they're like, this is real. Like, it gives everyone faith and love and hope and all of that. And so that it was such a bright spot. But unfortunately, it was so overshadowed by what I am about to tell you, but I did want to take a moment to celebrate that because that really matters. That's so important. And I'm just so happy for Jasmine and Melissa. They looked beautiful. The party was gorgeous. And I can't wait to see more photos from the wedding because they are gorgeous. But what happened then with The Valley is that last week, Janet admitted to projecting her pain onto Danny and Jasmine due to her own personal experience with sexual assault. And I will say the rest of this episode That's what we're going to be talking about. So this is your trigger warning for that. So Jesse last week applauded Janet for being vulnerable and claimed it helped to give him a better understanding of her behaviors. And you think, okay, that's nice. And then this episode, I literally watched in horror. It was a horror movie. It was the scariest, most frightening horror movie I've ever seen, where we watch Jesse, Danny, and Luke, right? A round table of king babies who have no understanding of emotional health or regulation in any way. So we see the round table of king babies pick apart Janet's story. Yeah, that's right. We watched these people pick apart Janet's personal story of sexual assault, basically saying that the fact that she's bringing it up now means that she's manipulating. And Jesse says, well, why now? Why now? And everyone else is, well, why now? And I'm telling you, y'all, the way I watched them, they laughed as they demeaned her, they discredited her, and they dehumanized Janet. All so that Danny doesn't have to be responsible for a goddamn thing. And I'm going to tell you, this may push me over the edge and I may be done with the valley. I don't know. Because right now my brain is doing what she wants and I'm just following it. And there were so many other things that happened in this episode, but all my brain could focus on was this because I was so disgusted. And so let me explain to you why this is disgusting. Okay, I'm sure people who listen to this are already disgusted, but let me make my case. Rape culture is a term to describe a society where sexual violence and abuse is normalized, downplayed, and laughed off. We were literally watching rape culture in action. We were watching it on our TVs. The framework of rape culture lies in the rhetoric that women's stories need to be legitimized by others to be valid. They don't. That women need to tell the right story at the right time. They don't. And in fact, I'm going to share a little bit about why that is in a moment. There are reasons that survivors take time to come forward. There are a multitude of reasons rooted in psychology, biology, physiology. So I'm going to help people understand not only are we getting a peek into rape culture, we're getting a peek into all the ways that it happens. So the first thing is that Tom Schwartz was the only one to call out how inappropriate it was that they were dismissing Janet's trauma. But the problem is he did it in a confessional and he was trying to do it in real time, but he understood that he was like on an island in terms of what he felt about this. And Tom Schwartz isn't exactly a wordsmith, right? Love Tom Schwartz, but he's not a wordsmith. But here's the thing. I'm not letting him off the hook because what I'm telling you is this is a part of rape culture where a man is sitting there and he's like, geez, this isn't right that they're picking apart Janet's trauma. That's not acceptable. Well, you should have said that to the group. Men like this need other men who have two brain cells to rub together to challenge them. So I really wish Tom Schwartz would have called that out. That's what I'm going to say about that. So then for the rest of the night, we kind of watch Lala try to reason with Kristen and to challenge her. Like Lala is, she's the only thing that's making this season to me watchable or redeemable because she is the sober voice of reason. This episode, she celebrated her 7-year soberversary. And oh my God, she lost her sweet puppy, Lily. And I'm going to be honest, this also was really challenging for me because when I was 17 and I had ovarian cancer, I wasn't supposed to survive. And so my parents got me a dog named Lily. And, oh gosh, I'm going to try not to cry. Lily was my soulmate. You know, when Lala said that, I was like, yeah, I understand that. When I lost my hair, she would sleep above my head like a little rainbow above my bald little head. And she just was everything to me. And then when I recovered from cancer and when my hair grew back, as soon as that happened, she not only never slept above my head again, she never slept in my room again. It was like she was a little angel sent to me. And I truly believe that helped me. So when I saw Lala grieve the loss of this beautiful creature who was with her through the ups and downs, who was with her when she wasn't sober, when she was in Utah and all these other things, it really brought up a lot of feelings. And I don't just think for me, you know, because I had a dog named Lily who was also my soulmate, but I just think that Lala, to me, what I'm saying is I think she's an amazing person, and I will be damned if I will accept and listen to this rhetoric that she's the problem. Lala is sober. She's the only one seeing this situation with clear eyes. She is working a program, meaning she has to hold herself accountable and she has to work on herself and be real with herself, and her life depends on that. And those are the people who you can trust their perspectives on things. It's not muddied by anything. This is just her being a truth teller and being like, you all don't like Janet, and I need to understand why. And to be honest, I just clapped for Lala the whole way because so we watch her try to have Kristen and Zach to be like, what is this about with Janet? Like, we understand she said the term sexual assault for what Danny did. Other than that, what has she done? And nobody can give reasons. Lala said, and I thought this was so beautifully said. And again, this is why I trust Lala, because she talked to Kristen in a way that was still respectful and as a friend, but challenging. And that's a hard line to walk. So Lala said, Kristen, at what point do we acknowledge that she, meaning Janet, can do no right? At some point, we have to let someone evolve. Why can't we do that? And Kristen was just like, I just don't like her. I just, whatever. Kristen totally lost me in this episode, and I'll explain in a minute why. So Zach nor Kristen could give concrete reasons, and it probably means it's just blind loyalties to Danny and Nia. Danny Bucco. Literally like Shannon Bedore. I am speechless. Okay. So this is where Kristen completely lost me, maybe forever. So Jesse, Lacey, and Kristen are continuing to challenge Janet's story when Kristen said, Janet coming out with this now is odd. Really? Kristen? Really? So Kristen has expressed being a survivor of sexual assault. And so for survivors to question other survivors is a fresh hell that I can't compute in my brain. I cannot understand it, and it needs to end immediately. Kristen should be ashamed of herself for this. She completely lost me. I think that there are a million reasons why survivors don't come forward, and I'm going to explain that in a minute, but everyone here needs to do better. Nobody has to like Janet, but do not confuse this with thinking that you, as an audience member or as a cast member or as anyone, get to question her experience. No one has the right to do that. No one. Okay? And then we watch Jesse cozy up to Janet, pretending like he didn't just deconstruct her trauma to anyone who would listen. Jesse went from villager with a torch to a friend to Janet, which to me shows Jesse's level of manipulation and lack of authenticity. What a POS. Oh, and Lacey was in on that too. Lacey was like, yeah, I just think it's so weird, the timing. And it's oh, do you? Do you? Okay. So now I understand why Lacey's with Jesse. And for me, Jesse, Lacey, Kristen, Zach, and of course, Danny. I mean, I'm lost forever on all of them because of this situation. And the comment section on Bravo TV was so horrifying because I went and I looked, and it's with reality TV, everything is up to interpretation because we all view the world from a different lens, right? This situation is different. We are watching a culture of people on and off the show that think questioning someone's sexual assault is acceptable. And I want to know what has happened to our humanity and our brain cells. What has happened to it? Because for me, this is a low that I just cannot understand. And here's the thing, even if you think that privately, right? We can't help what we think or what we feel. That's one thing. But to say it out loud, to bring it to filming in multiple groups of people to dehumanize Janet, to me, Jesse lost any credibility that he had, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm going to explain a little bit of why. Okay, why? Because their big question was, well, why did she wait so long? Survivors of sexual assault frequently delay sharing their stories due to complex emotional, psychological, and social barriers, all of which we saw tonight. So the process of healing, number one, it requires time, and delayed disclosure is common rather than the exception, meaning it takes time to process trauma, right? Psychologically, in all the ways, whether you're in therapy or you're not, it takes time to process what happened. It takes a lot of time. And so there are various reasons why someone does not disclose that they have been assaulted. Number one is fear of retaliation. Number two is shame and self-blame, which, by the way, Janet talked about last episode, is that she blamed herself because she froze. And I already explained on my podcast and on Instagram, there are physiological reasons why that happens. It's called the freeze response. There is biology behind this. But what happens is survivors feel shame and blame about coulda, shoulda, woulda. Humans want to have the fallacy that we can control things that we cannot control. And because humans have that fallacy, we project our stuff onto others and we blame them for, oh, well, you're not the perfect victim, or you should have said this sooner, or whatever. So Janet has shame and self-blame, fear of not being believed. So this is what we're watching right now, which is why most people do not come forward, because they know that they're going to be subject to ridicule, to questions, to why didn't you say this sooner? Why didn't you do anything? That is rape culture. Do we understand? Because I'm apoplectic. And then the last, well, there's other reasons too, but one of the main last reasons is that issues with trauma processing and memory. So traumatic events can affect how the brain encodes memories, leading to fragmented, suppressed, or delayed recall of the incident. And so I understand that lay people are not going to understand that, but humans' biggest problem is if you don't understand something, then learn about it. Then seek the knowledge. And Janet's not responsible for teaching them either. So just because we don't understand something doesn't mean it is not right or it's not valid. That shows the hubris, the ego of these humans that we're watching. Well, I don't understand this, therefore it's false. To me, that makes all of them look stupid. I'm going to be very honest. And I know this is a different Bish than you're used to hearing, but I just can't. I just can't. And to the point where I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I can watch The Valley anymore after this. I really don't know if I can. I reserve the right to change my mind, but where I am right now, I was so angry about this last night and today. And I'm just like, Bravo's supposed to be fun. And I understand there's supposed to be drama and things like that, but this isn't drama. This is dehumanizing. All survivors who experienced all these things and they're watching this, I guarantee that was triggering. And if you're one of those people, that's understandable. You're not alone. And I'm very sorry. Because if it were up to me, none of these people would be on TV anymore. None of them. Well, except Lala and Janet, which it's so funny that the audience hates Lala and Janet. I'm like, why? Why? Lala's not even being aggressive. This is how you know women just love to hate other women. Lala isn't being aggressive in the slightest. She's being assertive. She's speaking the truth. She's calling out facts. She's not being dramatic in any way, shape, or form. So the last thing I'll say about this is that's the other part of rape culture, is that it requires women to tear down other women, to tear down their stories and to say, well, this didn't happen. So women participate in the patriarchy to tear other women down. So that's what we're watching. So if it feels gross to you, it should feel gross because it's disgusting. If it triggers you, if you've been in the situation, and I'm sorry, and my best advice is forget what I'm doing. If the show's negatively impacting your mental health, do not watch it. Don't watch it. Because that's the only way they're going to listen or they're going to change things, is if people stop watching. So I'm going to take some time to think about it because I don't want to be impulsive and I don't want to make decisions out of a place of not being regulated. So I'm going to take some time and think about this, but I may be done with The Valley. And if you are too, I completely understand. Okay, so now let's go to Next Gen New York City, where the other problematic thing going on here is Charlie. So last episode of Bite Size Bish, I talked about Charlie, his really problematic comments towards Brooks. And in my opinion, his comments towards Brooks were homophobic, were rooted in homophobia. And tonight we got more of the same. So Charlie said, and I quote, and again, I write these down because I'm just working on what you're giving me. Charlie said, Brooks is acting like a girl that I fucked and haven't texted afterwards, which, by the way, what is wrong with him? So you're going to have sex with a girl and she doesn't even get a call anymore. These phones that you can talk on, nobody uses it for talking anymore. You can only text a girl after you have sex, you can't even call her, which, whatever. So he said, Brooks is acting like a girl that I fucked and didn't text afterwards before mocking his voice in a very, very hateful tone. And here's the thing about Charlie. I think Charlie is really upset that Brooks doesn't like him. And so he's just doing everything to discredit Brooks because Charlie, I truly believe, is a scary person who doesn't belong on TV in any way, shape, or form. I also think that when people are homophobic or don't like someone because they're gay, studies show that it is because they're projecting parts of themselves that they may feel are not acceptable. So what I'm saying is that if people really hate gay people, well, they may have a little bit of the LGBTQIA plus in them, because that level of hate projected onto Brooks, who's just living his life and minding his business, is actually really questionable for me. And it's just hateful and it's just bigotry. And I want to be clear about something. Bigotry and hate aren't deserving of empathy in any way, shape, or form. None of it. There's no forgiving of Charlie. There's no, oh, well, maybe this or maybe that or his trauma. Nope. No. Bigotry and hate do not deserve empathy. So I just want to repeat that. And that's also how I feel about the Valley. Okay. There's a lot of human flawed behaviors that are deserving of empathy, and we can understand where they come from. Questioning someone's experience with sexual assault and mocking somebody with a homophobic undertone, not deserving of empathy in any way, shape, or form. And the other thing is, this episode was really wild because we see Riley get extremely intoxicated, act out. She almost threw a glass at Georgia, and then that hit the news. And then we saw Mama Burris call her. And you know what? This is what I love about Candy. And it shows that when you parent your children in this way, they will have accountability and understanding. Candy questioned Riley like, nope, don't give me this politically correct answer. What happened? You're going to tell me. How did this go? What was going on for you? And she held her child accountable. And because of that, Riley held Riley accountable and apologized to Georgia. There was a scene where she was in Ariana's apartment and she was crying, saying that, like, Ariana, it was her fault. My hometown friends wouldn't have let this happen. You should have interjected. And Ariana was like, that's not mine to take. And then Riley just broke down crying. And it just, basically what happened is Riley acted out from a place of being intoxicated. She felt ashamed. She felt guilty. And I think she was just having a really hard time with that. That is deserving of empathy. Okay. A child, like a young adult who made mistakes while drinking and feels really shitty about it. And she didn't go to the party because she needed to fly home to be with her family. You can tell it really messed with her. But one thing I love about Riley is that I think she's a beautiful person, and we all fuck up when we're young. And the only way we grow is to say, okay, this situation happened. It rocked me to my core. What do I need to take accountability for? And how do I need to move differently going forward? And I love that Riley was able to do that. And I love that Ariana was able to sit with her and hold her heart and her friendship, but still hold her accountable and say, hey, that's rude. Do not blame me. This is not on me. And so I love Ariana. I love Riley. And I really love Georgia. I think she gets really misunderstood. I think she's quirky. She just has some differences than some of the other cast members. And I think because of that, she's really frequently misunderstood. And you know how I can tell Georgia's a great gal is that Riley apologized to her and Georgia was literally like, oh yeah, I've done things when I've been drunk too. I totally get it. I forgive her and move on. And it's like, that's a good soul right there, And that Gia also, when this was happening with Riley, Gia whispered in Riley's ear and said, we need to reevaluate this right now. You need to make up for it and apologize. I don't want you to look bad. And then that's when Riley proceeded to grab the glass and almost throw it. And so here, Gia is more mature than most housewives 2 to 3 times her age. I said it. Gia is like, yeah, I grew up around fighting. I don't like that. She's like the mom of this group. Her and Ariana are trying to get, we're trying to get Riley water and pizza and help her. And the reason Gia and Ariana are moms is because they experienced trauma with their own mothers, I believe. Especially with Ariana, you could tell the role that she takes with these friends is the role that she had to take in her family to be the one to help her parents. She's a caretaker. What I'm saying is I can tell that these two are caretakers because of the trauma that they experienced. And they also don't want drama because of what they lived with. Like when you grow up in a chaotic, dysfunctional household, you have no interest in repeating that in your friend group. You just don't. for the most part. Some people might repeat it accidentally or subconsciously or, things like that. Also, here's an interesting thing. I'm going to end on this. So Brooks, who I love, by the way, was FaceTiming with Meredith. I like Meredith on this show. I don't like her on Salt Lake City. I like her on the show because she told Brooks that, Brooks was like, I'm disengaging. And Meredith said, disengaging isn't about avoiding communication. It's about timing and walking away, but coming back to it, which I don't know that Meredith takes her own advice. Maybe she does off camera, but Brooks goes, he goes, oh, whoops. I've just been disengaging and not coming back to it. So by definition, I've been dissociating. And I laugh because I'm like, I love a self-aware person because that's exactly what it is. If you disengage and then don't come back to it, like let's say you put a problem on a shelf, you put it in a box on a shelf for, a period of time, you got to come back to the box. If you don't ever come back to the box, that's dissociation. That's a problem. That box is going to get dusty and moldy and it's going to get rodents and nobody wants that in our brains. So I love that Meredith helped him understand that. And I'm interested to see her next season. But the thing that she dropped, this little tea, is as she was FaceTiming with Brooks, she got a text from Angie K. And she said, I just got a text from Angie K saying that she believes in second chances. So what I'm hearing is that on the new season of Salt Lake City, she is giving Angie K another chance, but Brooks is smart enough to understand Charlie doesn't deserve second chances. And I guarantee you, as soon as Meredith and Brooks's family see what Charlie has to say about Brooks behind the scene, they would give him very different advice. Because you should not give a second chance to someone who's homophobic, hateful, that doesn't deserve a second chance. Okay. And that's not what Angie K is. I think Angie K is a good person who just fucks up. So TBD, I guess we'll find out. So that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for listening. Next week, I have a whole bunch of episodes planned. I really hope you've been enjoying it. And if you would be so kind, please go ahead and give a 5-star review, like, rate, subscribe, wherever you listen to podcasts. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much to this community. Thank you for being here for today. Sending love to you and yours, and ta-ta for now. Disclaimer. Posts are not intended to diagnose, treat, or provide medical advice. Your Bish Therapist is for entertainment and informational purposes only. The podcast, my opinions, and posts are my own and not associated with past or present employers, any organizations, Bravo TV, Greyheart Productions, or any other television network. The information in YBT Podcast and on its social media is provided for general informational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat. Please do not act or refrain from acting based on anything you read, see, or hear on YBT Podcast or associated social media. Communicating with YBT via email and or social media does not form a therapeutic alliance. Melissa, operator of YBT, is unable to provide any therapeutic advice, treatment, or feedback.